I'm Wes Gray. I work at the Royal Palms Resort and Spa in Phoenix. Yep, and we're going to go for a tour. 1926, the Cook family moved to Phoenix from New York. He was a financier, New York financier, but also he was on the board of directors of 2 railroad exchanges and the Cunard cruise ships. Okay, so they traveled all over the world because of the Cunard connection. So they favorite places was Spain and Mexico. So that's why a lot of the influence here and a lot of the fixtures here were made, or they were brought in from Mexico and Spain. But when they bought it, they bought 65 acres of property here in what is now Arcadia. At the time, it was called the Citrus Homes, and there was basically 1,000 acres that they had. Some investors had bought, and then they parceled it off. 65 of it going to Mr. Cook. Camelback Mountain, Camelback Road, I should say, was a dirt road at the time, and then they built this home here, 3,500 square feet, as their winter home. And Mr. Cook thought that it would be good for his wife, who had asthma, to be in a warmer climate. I'll tell you a little later, but unfortunately, he died 3 years after that, if it was built. So it kind of the irony there. So when they did build it, though, they brought in 600 palm trees from Saudi Arabia, and most of them were fully grown because they wanted the look and feel as if they had been here, forever in the neighborhood. So all the palm trees that you see here were brought in the 1929s, and they've grown to where they have. But this was just a dirt driveway. The fountain was not there yet, and so this is the way they would welcome guests into the house. So these are original doors to the mansion here, very solid. And then as you entered, you had the breezeway here, and this was the living room here, and this was the guest room here. And then to go to any other room, they came out here to the breezeway and the courtyard, and they used the courtyard to go to all the other rooms. The rooms over here were the master bedrooms. So there's a little archway right there that could take you to either one. In the master bedrooms, they had the bedroom, the dressing room, and then the bathrooms. Yeah. And then over here, across the courtyard, they had their billiards room, the kitchen, a library, and then some miscellaneous rooms for the staff and servants, and the chauffeur, and the garage was back there. 3,500 square feet in total. Cost of it was $1 million to build, but I believe that does include all of the 600 palm trees and all of that cost. Right now, that'd be worth, that's about present value, $16 million. So we were talking earlier about how they like to travel. Spain was one of their favorite countries. These are all tiles from the provinces in Spain. So there's 21 of them total. Those were originally built when they built the house in 1929.
Wow, so there's 21 of these.
21 of them all around the courtyard here. Yep. And I did look it up, and they are truly provinces under the old structure of Spain. Spain reorganized a few years ago, but they're somewhat similar, but not exactly. So this is the history wall here. This is a picture of Dulles Cook, the original owner. So this is where we just entered the house, but this was when we had become an inn. So it says cantina there. At that point, it had become an inn also. But you see the original trees here. This was, they say circa 1929, but they're fully grown trees they brought. They're palm trees. Then looking at the timeline a little bit, we can go a little bit more. So after she sold the property, but lived there 5 more years after he died, the president of Greyhound Bus Company bought the property, and he added on the second story here. So originally that second story was not the original build. In that he just added more bedrooms and probably I think with the master bedrooms up there. But he also added a priest quarter, because I should have gone. Mr. Cook is Presbyterian, and Mr. Travers is Catholic. So he brought a Catholic church priest here, who actually gave services for the locals, in the library of the house there, which we'll see later. And then, unfortunately, Mrs. Travis died 5 years after they bought the house, and so Mr. Travis did not really want to return to the house. He wintered here, but then he lived in San Francisco, which is where he was president of the Greyhound Bus Company. Also during that time, though, they were going through a major strike, the bus drivers. They had, I was reading the articles, there's like 1,700 bus drivers were on strike about the time that his wife died. And she died unexpectedly at the age of 55. So anyway, so there's a lot of, I think, reasons he did not return but he then sold it to the president of Avial Radio Company, who, along with 35 acres, he sold off to, that was kind of the first set of houses that they kind of subdivided here. And then Mr. Rouse, we kept it, well, Mr. Rouse died, although it doesn't say that there, but he died. And then his estate sold it to a group of investors where they built 15 casitas, which we'll go over to in a few minutes. And that's when it became the Royal Palms Inn in 1948, 47 and 48. Yep. So that was the beginning of it being a resort. 1929 to 1948, it was a private residence. They kept the original, and when we did a major renovation in 1997, they tried to return as much as possible to that original. The landscaping, though, has always been this way because they brought in so much of it. Mrs. Cook was just, she loved palm trees, cactuses, and everything else around it, so that's why it was Royal Palms. The fountain is original to the house, so that was their water feature. It was their water feature, their house. So we just continue on. So we still see the this tiles here. This here was brought in by the Cooks. This piece of art. There's all we know is that there was 2 of them made by the artist. We do not know anything else about what it is. We call it the Lady in Spain, but that's about it. It is not Mrs. Cook. But it's been here. It's well preserved, I guess, because of the awning. You know, it's not, the sun doesn't directly hit it. But it is beautiful. Yep. So we're talking about the Catholic priest. I like to call this the Catholic corner because here we have the mass was done in the library here. But here we have the holy water, crucifix with various symbolisms, which I believe agriculture building that, and then a bust of Christ right here. At the time, the house was actually white. It was white stucco covered over brick, so it was white. So keep that in mind. So then in 1947, when they built the casitas over here and opened up the Royal Palms, it was basically there was the casitas were like white. They were white. It reminds me a lot of like Miami Beach or the Poconos or something like that. You know, like a resort there. But all this was made this way in 1997 due to the major renovations, where they really tried to make it look, back to the style of what it should be, whether back Mexican hacienda or Spanish villa. You notice the sidewalks here. I'd like to say this was old, but it was done in 1997. These bricks, though, were from the old original house. Just gonna peek inside. So they lightened this up, they painted the ceiling, I mean, they did a fantastic job. They painted the ceilings, put in new chandeliers, new drapes, it's just so much, a new carpet. But this is where they would have in the 50s, 60s, on Sundays, the brunches, and then Saturday nights they would have their swing dancing. Look at the palm tree. You'll see, so here, the one coming right through the outdoors, and then that one is right. These two right here are coming out of the ceiling of the restaurant.
I bet a lot of people don't know that, you know?
No, they think it's like what the rainforest. Those rainforest cafes. All the wrought iron is original. And that's the crest up there that we're talking about. Basically, it's Winter Haven, their home. So these were the casitas. They were built in 1947, 48. So some of the rooms were here in the mansion, here in the heart-shaped pool, right there. And then later on, the tennis courts were up. I'll show you some of the pictures. This is the heart-shaped pool. And we'll see more copies of pictures of it. So diving board. The palm tree, I don't know exactly where it was, but I think it's not in the picture right now. And then this one, Royal Palms Inn. But this was, I think, this was not in the 40s. This was probably 50s or 60s. So this was the pool that they filled in. So it looks bigger here than it actually is. But that's the pool. We used to have a golf course. Yeah, 9-hole golf course was added in 1960, and then it was taken out. They sold the golf course. Oh yeah, when Mr. Aberdeen passed away. So then that's when it got down to 9 acres. But it was apparently it was a very easy course, so everybody liked it. This was the original casitas. So if you look at the tower right here, so this is what I was talking about as far as the white. It was all white. So the tower. So this was where we saw the sidewalks with rocks in it. It was really all just one big lawn with awnings there. They didn't have the archways there, so that was all added on. And these were some rooms then. So I find it amazing that they had changed it to look so different and yet so uniform from this white looking. Another picture of the heart-shaped pool there. And then I believe that's the construction of the heart-shaped pool.
I think the heart-shaped pool would have been the biggest loss for me.
Yeah, I know. Especially when you think of it for valet parking, like you could have found something else. Yep. Taking another picture of the pool, and so then I was saying we added the tennis courts. So what we have here, so this would be Camelback here, tennis courts, the pool, and the driveway without a wall. So you basically would see people driving in through there, and that's the main house here.
So I'm getting all the products out for both of the cocktails here. This one's actually going to be the shaken one. This one's going to be the stirred one.
Man, you've done this before.
I've done this a few times.
This is incredible.
Little cherry juice there.
I mean, when you get going, you don't want to be looking for anything. You got it all right.
Exactly. So let's dig. Oh, you know what? We need 1 piece of rosemary. And this is funny. You can get it don't drink on here. This is a 151 rum. 151 proof rum. The reason why it's don't drink is because it's meant just to light our rosemary. 151 rum is pretty strong. You're looking at whatever the math is, what is 76% alcohol. So we'll get started on the Naran Naranja. So I'm just gonna break these down over here quick. And this is actually a shaken cocktail. So first thing I like to do is to get my glass, get the fresh ice in there that I'm gonna need here in a minute. And I like to build out of the small tin. And then what I do is I always start with cheapest ingredients first. Consult with my dealer here. Cheapest ingredients first, so what's that gonna mean for us? I'm gonna take lime juice, and I'm just gonna go up to a ½ ounce. So this here's a jigger. So we're gonna do up to the top is a full ounce. Up to the top on the other side is a 2 ounce. This little notch right here, that's 1.5 ounces. You got a ½ ounce and 3/4 ounce. So it helps you get much more accurate. 1.5 ounces is gonna be your standard cocktail. 2 ounces for neat and rocks drinks, and 2.5 for martinis. Just a little bit of background for you. So we got a ½ ounce going up to that first notch line on the lime juice. I've done this before, so I know I'm gonna need a ½ ounce of the hibiscus rose syrup as well. And this is obviously a product that we purchase, but it is very good. Hibiscus rose syrup, it's a sweetener for the cocktail. Next we're gonna use watermelon. So this is a product by Twisted Alchemy. We use 1 ounce of the watermelon juice here. It's a cold pressed watermelon juice. It's actually very good, very refreshing. Next ingredient is Cointreau, which is an orange liqueur. Think triple sec, but a little bit higher quality. So we're gonna use 3/4 ounce of the Cointreau there. And for the Naran is a mezcal. It does present, give you the smokiness. It's a nice mezcal, it's a young mezcal. One thing to remember, mezcal is, so all tequilas are technically mezcal, but not all mezcal is tequila, right? So 1.5 ounces of the mezcal going right in there. I'm gonna ice this down. Mezcal is the overarching category, right? Of tequila falls underneath that. So you wanna give this a good shake. When you have a seal like this, find the lime side, the side that's flush like that. Try to get a grip just off to the side. You're looking for not the front, but off to the side. You're looking to pop that with your palm. Nice and easy, makes that loose for you.
That looks good.
That is the Naran Naranja. This is a dehydrated orange. And main event here, looking at the rosemary, soaked in that 151. That'll help it ignite and stay lit so we can get that flavor in there. 2 straws, keep it away from the burning. Rosemary lit. And that is Naran Naranja. Let's get this cue ball nice and hot. It'll plume up in the glass there, so we're getting that smoked out. Then I have this Demerara syrup. It's a turbinado sugar. We use a 2-to-1 ratio, bring it up to a simmer, and it creates a syrup for you. It's like, it's just a little darker, gives the drink a nice like backbone to it. We're looking at Angostura bitters, 2 nice long dashes there. Angostura makes an orange bitters. We're gonna do 2 of those dashes as well. 2 ounces of Buffalo Trace, which is a nice bourbon. And I'll ice this down here. If you'd like to thief a little bit out, you can. Like to kind of straw it, and you can taste it what it tastes like before it's stirred. It'll give you an idea because it's gonna be raw right now, right? Because I just thief it, right? Like I just take the straw, put it in, cover it, and put it in your mouth, like so that way you can get a little taste. So like right now it's very raw. I add a little bit of the filthy cherry juice, and that's it's very similar to like the Luxardo cherries. But now you'll taste it after it's diluted. What we're looking for is that ice to melt down because you want to dilute the cocktail, right? Whenever you have a spirit and they stir it, the reason why is because you want to bring that heat down a little bit so you can tolerate it, right? You want to get it a little bit more diluted. That should be about good with where we're at there. For this, we're going fresh ice. We want it to go about 3/4 of the way up so we can keep some of that smoke in there. And you can kind of see some of that smoke coming off still. Trap it there within the drink. And this is the foam component. And this is a foam made out of this same cherry juice. There you are. Now you're gonna taste it it's gonna be much better. It's not gonna be raw or hot like it was before. So Lafroig is it's a scotch. It's a really peaty scotch. When they make it, they actually burn peat moss underneath it, and it absorbs a lot of that flavor. Yeah, open up this Diplomatico. This is an awesome product too. Diplomatico, this is like one of my favorite rums. So this cocktail that we're gonna make, it has a spritz of the Lafroig. The reason why I grabbed this right here, this has Lafroig in it. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna spritz the Lafroig in here. So that way it has like a little bit of that smoky peat moss Lafroig flavor. That'll adopt into the cocktail. And then we follow a very similar recipe as we did with the smoke foam fashion. So we're actually going to do a 1/2 ounce of that Demerara. You good? Daniel?
Yeah.
All good? He's around somewhere. Then you went to go look for Joy. So 1 ounce of the Diplomatico Reserve. We're going to do equal parts with the Knob Creek as well. And this is a nice bourbon. So it's a dark rum bourbon blend. 1 ounce of each, got the 1/2 ounce of that. We're doing the same here, 2 ounces, or 2 dashes, excuse me, of the Angostura bitters, 2 dashes of the orange bitters. And we're gonna stir this one down. Dilute it the same way we did with the last one. And so you can see where the ice level is here. We're waiting for that to kind of dilute down a little, and you'll start to see it as it starts to sink and becomes a little more fluid. Already, yeah, it's already getting down there. Let's say we're about done right now. Just for good measure, we'll hit this a couple more times. Yeah, it helps with speed.
Yeah.
For us. So drain into that big rock, and then the way we finish this, and you'll want to get a video of this too. So you get a nice citrus peel, and you want to make sure there's a little pith on there, right? So you can actually get some oil out of there. So as you watch, you see all that oil and essence come out of that orange peel. Now what I like to do, hit the rim a little bit and then hit it on the side of the glass. That way when your fingers touch your nose next, it's gonna be all citrus. And that is the H. Upmann. This is a mixture of these three: lavender honey syrup, demerara syrup, and lemon juice. That's how we make this. It's a honey lavender lemonade batch. I'm gonna get started by adding some ice into here. Oh, get everything in there. So for this one, starting with cheapest ingredients first, we're gonna do 2.5 ounces of our batch. It's not quite equal components, but it's a lemonade based on those syrups that I showed you. So we got 2.5 ounces there. Just a lavender bitter, 1 dash. Very small. And then we're gonna do 1.5 ounces with a Kettle One. Up to that 1.5 ounce notch. Drop it in there. And I will ice this down. Create that seal. Break that seal. Pour over that fresh ice here. And you want to leave just a little room at the top. That actually went perfect for me. Because what we're going to do is finish it with the Empress Gin. So it has that nice purple float to it. Dehydrated lemon. Nice edible flower.
No, it's not. It's kind of smoky.
Nice edible flower.
Yeah.
There we go.